Do you have a franchise that you really love, but it doesn't have a huge fan base like other franchises? Like, it doesn't get lore videos and video essays made about it that get millions of views, but you feel like if people just gave it a chance, they would find that it's really good. And then after years of it seeming like there's not going to be a continuation of this franchise, a pretty big network picks it up and releases a new movie, and you're like, whoa, this could be it. This could be the thing that gets people into the thing that I really like. And then you watch the movie with pretty high expectations because, of course, you would have high expectations because you watch the show. And then you slowly begin to realize as you're watching the movie that they've missed the mark. And anyone who hasn't watched the show probably still wouldn't watch it if they watched this movie first.
Has that ever happened to you?
Mononoke first got its start in a ghost story anthology, and then it got a show where it follows only one character that just goes by medicine vendor, but he doesn't just sell medicine. Any place that he appears, he is there to find and do exorcisms on supernatural entities called Mononoke, and these are evil spirits that are born from pent-up anger and grudges, and at least in the show they can possess the dead or the living. The medicine vendor has a sword that he uses to defeat the Mononoke, but it can only be unlocked if he shows the sword, which is like a little guy. He doesn't talk, but he looks like a little guy. If he shows the sword, the name, the form, and the truth of the Mononoke, so that basically requires him to like investigate, and so it's a bit of a slow paced show compared to shows like Demon Slayer, which by the way are amazing, but it's more understandable why Demon Slayer gets the amount of views it does. This is like one of my favorite shows, and that's because I really like mystery stories. Like, I was super into Agatha Christie when I was in high school. And essentially, like, Mononoke is kind of a supernatural mystery, and it kind of ends up being like each story is almost an analyzation of a character, like what they've been through and what other characters put them through. And of course, I feel like you'll, as you can see on the screen because I'm putting it on there, the design and art is really amazing. Like, the design can either make a scene look very beautiful or very sinister, and the music is great. As for the movie, though, the movie that is called Mononoke, the movie, The Phantom in the Rain, which I feel like you don't need to say the movie in there. The animation in the movie is great. It's very clear that they got an upgrade in a budget compared to the show. Is very, like, it looks very great to my eyeballs. It's also important that the animation and art is great because Mononoke is very much a show don't tell anime, where a lot of the story is like you have to be watching it or else you will miss parts of the story. Speaking of the story was meh. Okay, to me it felt like the plot was an afterthought. Like, they were so focused on making the art better and animation better that they forgot to do the plot. It feels like maybe they didn't make this movie for people who already know and love Mononoke, but were maybe trying to attract new viewers. Did it work? Well, it's been over 6 months since it was released. It doesn't have enough reviews on Rotten Tomatoes to even have a score. So I'm gonna read 2 reviews from Rotten Tomatoes that I agree with the most. The first one is a critic review, which, as we know, critics know more about things than we do. If the original series was cool with its deliberate pacing, ironic detachment, and dry humor, and that swinging theme song by jazz singer Charlie Kosai, the film version is hot, overwhelming, in your face, nonstop, and loud. 3 out of 5 stars. I agree with the 3 out of 5 stars rating. The next one I'm gonna read is like 2 out of 5 stars, but I do agree with this review. Could have been so much better if they let the story breathe and build on the suspense a little bit. It was a horror anime they morphed into a co-chameleon action movie. How did this get approved by the franchise? The story being great, it deserved much better execution. Lacks long-lasting character impression. No memorable OST. Hit the nail on the freaking head, bro. The medicine vendor was not in the movie as much as he should have been. I'm trying to keep this review as spoiler-free as possible, but he really should have been in the movie more. The characters weren't interesting to me. The actual mystery was kind of interesting, as that one review pointed out that the story was interesting, but the way it was solved felt very abrupt. Like they were kind of like, oh yeah, we need to end this eventually. At the end of the day, if they really wanted to attract new viewers, a big thing that could help is actually giving the medicine vendor more of a backstory. That's kind of like, I feel like, the biggest flaw with the show, and the thing that probably does make people not really interested in, like, to keep watching. Like, we really don't know much about him. If you were to ask me, who is the medicine vendor based off of the information we're given, I would say that he's probably not human. He's probably like half demon. It's probably like the reason he doesn't tell people his name is because, you know, that's kind of a way to destroy demons, is by knowing their name. So maybe that's why he just goes by the medicine vendor. He seems to have been given this task to destroy Mononoke. He doesn't really seem that interested in his job. Like just like emotionally, you know? Like it's not like Demon Slayer where most of the demon slayers had experienced some kind of loss and wanted to kill demons after that. It seems more like he was hired for this job. Like he didn't even care. He doesn't really seem to care that much about humans, even though he is kind of trying to save them, but he also doesn't really care when humans die. He seems to not really be trusted to kill Mononoke, since he has to unlock the sword every time he has to kill a Mononoke. It's like the sword wants him to prove that the Mononoke is actually the one that they're looking for, because it doesn't trust him. Yeah, that's pretty much it, and that's probably none of that is right, because we don't know anything about this guy. I like want Mononoke to succeed, because again, I really like the show. If I'm being honest though, this wasn't good. And if you're a new viewer of the franchise, you probably won't really understand what happened. But let me know in the comments if this is like the first thing that you experience of Mononoke. Were you like, yeah, this is awesome? Or were you kind of like, I don't really know I don't really understand what is supposed to be happening right now. So this is something I wasn't sure I was going to talk about, but I was scrolling on TikTok and I actually saw this random video about a different anime that was just talking about how in Japanese anime how they draw Chinese character. Which, can I just say, when I see Chinese characters in anime, I'm like, whoa, that doesn't seem okay. That doesn't seem okay at all. And then in the comments, people brought up the show Mononoke in the first episode. And I feel like I have to talk about it, because if someone were to like watch this and feel like they want to watch the show and then they click the first episode, they're gonna be like, what the fuck? And I cannot lie, when I first watched Mononoke, I was like, what the fuck? Because I didn't know what it was about. It was kind of recommended to me on Crunchyroll. The description it's not really that good of a description when it comes to like explaining what the show is supposed to be about. And so when I click on the first episode and I see this is how it starts? I was very disturbed, okay? And that's why I kept watching, because I like disturbing stuff. But I did not see this and think, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's chill. But now, in defense of it, there are people who say it's the art style of the show. I do agree, because they really do draw characters, specifically male characters, ugly as fuck, bro. They draw them ugly. Which, I'm not gonna get too into it, but I do think it's very interesting that they'll draw these male characters so ugly, and all of the stories in Mononoke have to do with women being wronged in some way. I just think it's kind of interesting.